Hey everyone, I'm a little nervous. I haven't done this in more than a year. But it's time. I needed to come on and give you guys an explanation as to where I went and what I've been doing and why I haven't been here. And I know this isn't the first time I've disappeared from the channel, but this has obviously been the longest period of time, and I'm sure if I had read or responded to any comments in the last year, I would have heard the same question over and over again, and that is, hey, are you okay? Just let us know. But the truth is, YouTube and content creation is kind of an all or nothing sort of endeavor, at least for me. It's one thing to stay involved on a regular basis and share stories and updates and things like that. But then once you're away from it, it becomes that much harder to come back. And if I'm not going to be sharing or uploading content of any sort, or I don't have anything in the can, so to speak, ready to go, I guess I hide a little bit or entirely, which is the case here. But I am okay. 2023 for me was about pretty much everything except for motorcycling, and that's why I haven't been here. I overcommitted myself at the beginning of the year. I was cast in a play, and I had rehearsals Monday through Friday, 7 to 10 p.m. for about 7 or 8 weeks, and then we had almost a month of performances, including double performances on Saturdays. And that meant the first 3.5 months of 2023, I was working during the day, rehearsing at night, learning Irish accent for the play that I was in, learning a ton of lines, and so theater became my life for those first 3.5 months. And while I've done theater many, many times since I was, middle school, this was the first time I had had an opportunity to do a show in about 3.5 years. And once I was back, once I was there and I was actually doing a show again, I was so excited to be involved at the theater that I committed myself to 2 other shows last year, not as a performer, but as part of the design and production team. And they were 2 really, really large musicals. And it was wonderful to be involved in a different way, because for me, it's always been acting, whether that was in a play or a musical. So I did not complete my theater adventures last year until September. And at that point, it was time for me to prep and get ready to go visit my son for almost 2 weeks at the middle end of October in New Mexico, which is where he's currently stationed. He's with the Air Force. I believe I mentioned that before. But throughout all of this, it was simply a matter of prioritizing what was important. And as much as I enjoyed putting content here on this channel, it felt like an obligation at some points. The thing I enjoy about content creation and about YouTube and this particular media and in particular is that I get to have these small micro conversations in the comments, because I've always prided myself on reading and responding to every single comment that is left on my page, unless it's a troll, and then, well, that's, you know what I'm saying there. So once I found myself buried after I posted my video last year in January introducing the bike behind me, the MT-07, I was just wrong about my ability to juggle so many things at one time. I knew better. Maybe somewhere deep inside, subconsciously, I knew that things were not going to turn out quite the way I'd hoped, and they didn't. And so that is what kept me away. And you could say, hey, you could have just, posted something, an update. But I always feel as if I have to offer an explanation. Not a justification, but simply to say, hey, this is what I'm doing, and I'll be back at this particular time, or this month you can expect to see something from me. And the fact is, I didn't know what I was going to do. I didn't know when I was going to be back. And once I returned from New Mexico, it was the holidays, and I thought, maybe January. And one other little truth is if you haven't seen my last video, which I posted over a year ago, January of 2023, when I introduced the MT-07 behind me. If you haven't seen that, watch that if you want to know the things that displeased me about this particular bike. And also know that I'm not a typical motorcyclist. At least I don't believe I am, if there is such a thing as a typical motorcyclist. I came to motorcycling at age 50. So for me, it's never been a lifestyle. It's never been something that really became part of my everyday existence. And so I think I've struggled to incorporate motorcycling in a way that it just became part of my life. I have continued to be unhappy with the MT-07, not because there's anything wrong with the model of the bike, not that there's anything wrong with this particular bike beyond the bizarro mods that were done to it, which I detail in my previous video. I miss my little 250. It was just such a fun little bike. And I can honestly say I regret selling it. Not because I wish to have only that bike, but I don't have space or the finances to keep multiple bikes. That's simply not my life. If I had the opportunity to do it again, I would have gone about the whole process a little differently. Unfortunately, I did not, and this is where we are. I have contemplated selling the bike, the MT, and I have to say that that is most likely what I will do at some point. I don't know when that's going to occur, but that's where I am. I don't ride very much. I would like to ride. I just don't enjoy riding this particular bike. And I would like a bike that I want to just hop on and go for a zip around town. Something as simple as that. But if I'm going to own a motorcycle, I need to ride it. And if I'm not going to ride it, then it has to go. And that's where I am right now. So you're wondering, okay, is this I'm coming back and I'm going to post more videos? Yes and no. I have learned. I made mistakes in the past. So what I am going to tell you right now is that I'm not going to give you a commitment as far as a timeline and say, 2 weeks from now, I'm going to post a video for you. I'm not going to tell you that. I do have some updates with regard to this bike to share. And so I would like to make video about that. And I have some videos of my travels in New Mexico, which requires a lot of intensive editing. And I know it's crazy. It was 4 months ago and you're like, why didn't you edit already? Well, that's because it's so much easier to film this kind of video and share this kind of content with you than it is to share travel videos. The hours involved in creating those, because you're taking bits and pieces and parts, and it's not linear. You have all of those materials, but it's just a lot more complicated and it's a lot more time consuming. So I kind of have to get into that mindset. But whether this is a moto channel or not, which it may not remain so for long, at least not only that, I am going to share those videos with you. I have at least 1 or 2 videos from New Mexico because I had a wonderful time and I would love to share that with you. And so that is your update. I have missed having conversations with you, like I called them before, little micro conversations in the comments. And I would love to have those with you again. And I endeavor to at least post content to keep us, connected. But I'm not going to commit to any particular schedule. I also will let you know that if you have left a comment in the past year, I will go back and read and acknowledge them. Whether or not I'm able to respond to them is going to be a different story. I won't respond if it means answering the same question repeatedly. So that's just where I am. If you've gone to the end of the video and you don't know who I am by now, well, I'm Gina, otherwise known as Ginger Dash, maybe to be known as something else in the future. We shall see. I hope you're doing well. I have missed you. And I'll see you again next time.